Hey guys, it's Jen. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. Today I have got an awesome what's for dinner video for you. I'm going to be sharing a ton of different real life dinners. I am a full-time working mom, so I always make things that are easy and simple. And lately I've been trying to eat healthier too and cook healthier for my family. So if you're interested in getting some dinner ideas, just stick around and you will get a ton. All right, so the first meal that we are actually starting out with is a meal prep meal that you guys would have seen in my latest video, and that is a chili and cornbread meal. So right now I'm sharing with you the ingredients that were included in this keto slash paleo cornbread. So I went ahead and prepped the chili during the weekend. I'll link that video down below. And so all I had to do on the night that I was making it was heat it up and make the sides. So I found this keto slash paleo cornbread at my local health food store, which isn't really local to me because it's like 40 miles away, but you can probably find something similar on Thrive Market. I'll link them down below. But essentially what it said to add for paleo was almond milk, ghee, and eggs. So you can either make this keto or paleo, and I decided to add a little bit of honey because right now I am mostly doing paleo, although I'll talk about that a little bit later and how it's not really about labels and more about how I feel. So what I did to make this particular mix was I poured the mixture into a 8x8 casserole dish, and I lined it with parchment paper that was greased with cooking spray. I would definitely recommend that, but this mix was totally delicious. As someone who is not like a super fan of cornbread but likes it, I definitely think that this fit the bill. I made it as directed, added some honey, and then I sprinkled some Maldon sea salt on top and baked it. While I was baking it, I went ahead and heated up the chili that I had meal prepped in the weekend before. Like I said, I'll link that video down below, but anytime that you can prep chili ahead, it is delicious because honestly, it is better as it sits. And then I decided to make some chili mac for my kids. So I had this box of Celentani that I needed to use up. So I went ahead and boiled that in some water with some salt, and they had that with the chili. On the side, I served some hummus. I had some pea snaps, some cheese for the chili, and some carrots. Here was Connor's bowl. He had a little bit of the pasta with chili and cheese, and of course the veggies on the side. I had mine with dairy-free cheddar. It's the VLOGUST brand. And then I had these grain-free tortilla chips from Thrive. They're the zesty lime flavor. And then I had some leftover guac that I ate those with. I have been eating dairy-free and gluten-free for the past couple weeks, and it has honestly made me feel so much better. I would definitely recommend this particular cornbread mix. It is delicious regardless if you make it keto or paleo. It is awesome to have with chili, so I would definitely recommend it if you can find it. All right, so tonight for dinner I'm kind of making a hodgepodge because I am eating like paleo-ish right now and the kids are not. So I got Sunbasket this week. I'm gonna do this Blackened Soul with pickled pickled carrots and sweet mini peppers, which looks really good. So I've got all those ingredients here. And I thought on the side I would make some sweet potato fries. I'm trying to figure out the best way to make them really crispy in the oven, so I'm going to try a different method for that. And then for Adam and most likely the kids and Adam, I'm making some mac and cheese, and I'm also making chili dogs, and I have some potato salad and veggies and fruit cut up in the fridge. So this is just some chili that I picked up from Hy-Vee today from their deli section. So I'm gonna put that on top of the hot dogs. I have the hot dogs in the air fryer right now. Okay, so the first thing for this particular meal is to make the pickled carrot mixture. So I cut the jalapeno in half. I put it in this little saucepan with the thyme, and then the directions are to pour in this quick pickle brine, which in looking at the directions is just honey and apple cider vinegar. And then I'm going to pour the rest of that in, and then the directions say to bring this to a boil Turn it off, and then you add the sweet peppers and the carrots to pickle them and season them with salt and pepper, and then you kind of just let them sit while the rest of the meal cooks. So if you're ever trying to do a healthier diet, I would definitely recommend either Green Chef or Sunbasket. I'll leave both of the links down below. I find Sunbasket really helpful because they also sell like single ingredients. I've been eating gluten-free and dairy-free for a while now, and also sugar-free. And so it's honestly helped me feel a lot better. But part of that has been being able to order from Sunbasket because they have all of the ingredients that I can't get around here. So right now I am tossing the peppers that I chopped into the pickling mixture along with the carrots, and I'm going to set that aside and basically let it pickle so I can top it on the fish. All right, so super fancy dinner, mac and cheese, chili dogs. Please hold for the remainder. All right, so I cut this sweet potato into fry shapes, and I'm gonna toss this with 2 tablespoons of tapioca flour and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I tried making these a few days ago, and they were not quite crispy because I couldn't find my tapioca flour, but I found it was in my pantry. So I'm going to toss these together and then put on a baking sheet. One of the articles I read online basically said you have to keep all of the sweet potato fries like totally separate on the baking tray. So I kind of spaced them out, and I'm going to bake these for probably about 20 minutes at 425. All right, so next up I am going to dice the raw veggies for this dish. And so I know I made like kind of 2 different dinners on this night, but sometimes when you're trying to eat different than your family, that's how it works. So it's easier when you have a meal kit like the Sunbasket kit. So I basically chopped this onion into slices, and then I diced the cilantro, and that is what is going to go on top of the fish. Okay, so I seasoned my fish with the blackened seasoning, and I'm just cooking it in this skillet here. It's not going to take long at all to cook because it's very, very thin. Hopefully I can cook it without breaking it. Okay, these sweet potato fries are bomb. Highly, highly recommend. So I think that tossing them in cornstarch would work also if you don't want to use tapioca flour. But these turned out so good. I ended up cooking them for around 30 minutes, flipping them at around 20 minutes, and they turned out crispy and delicious. I salted them, would highly recommend. All right, so here is my completed plate. I have some of the sauteed red onions, some of the blackened soul. I put the pickled carrots and peppers on top, along with some chopped cilantro, and my sweet potato fries. I'm gonna eat this, yum. All right, so I'm gonna make some cashew ricotta, and I don't think I've ever made this before, but this is the recipe I'm using. It's from minimalistbaker.com. So what I have here is 2 cups of raw cashews that I've soaked overnight and drained. I have 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. I need 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, some garlic powder, sea salt, and then some water, and I'm going to use my food processor to mix it up. I'm doubling this recipe because I'm going to make like a paleo lasagna out of it, but you can also you can use it for anything. You can use it on crackers or on pizza. I'll link the original recipe down below. All right, so I'm going to dump in my cashews, lemon juice. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and then the recipe calls for sea salt, so I'm just going to use this Malden sea salt that I got from Thrive Market. 1 teaspoon of this, but then I can also add more as needed. And then I'll just add the water as needed to make it creamy. All right, so this is completed, and it's kind of crazy, honestly, how much like ricotta it tastes and even looks like. So I'm going to store this in the fridge until it is time to make the lasagna. All right, so here are the ingredients I used for the gluten-free, dairy-free lasagna. So I had some of these Capello's lasagna sheets, which I got from Thrive Market. They are super reasonable there, and I cannot find them anywhere else around here. They are made with almond flour. I think I misspoke before. They're not actually vegan, but they are gluten-free and paleo, so I would definitely recommend them. If you're making a smaller lasagna than 9 by 13, you will have extra, so just keep that in mind. I have some vegan mozzarella, which is not, quote, technically paleo, neither is the Just Like Parmesan from VLOGUST, but honestly, I am less about labels and more about sticking to the principles. I also have the cashew cheese that I made ahead of time. That is very suspiciously like ricotta, so I would definitely recommend that if you are wanting to go dairy free. I also have an egg that I'm going to mix with the cashew ricotta along with some fresh basil and a little bit of rosemary just to make it taste a little bit fresher. I normally do mix like some herbs and some salt and some Parmesan in with my ricotta. And then here is the meat sauce I made. This is just some sauteed ground beef that I mixed with some no sugar added tomato sauce, and so you can use that in any lasagna. So I'm going to start out by making the cashew, quote, ricotta. So I'm just dicing up my herbs. I keep herbs on my back deck, so I always have pots out there, and during the spring and summer and fall, I have basil and thyme and rosemary and whatever else I can manage to grow out there. I'm cracking an egg into a bowl, and I'm going to go ahead and beat that up and then add most of my cashew ricotta and mix that up. And just to flavor it up, I wanted to add some fresh herbs. Honestly, once I made this and tasted it, I mean, I am the most like dairy positive person. You guys know I eat cheese all the time. And when I tasted this, I could not taste the difference between this and regular ricotta. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. So I added some salt and pepper to it along with some of the VLOGUST shredded Parmesan. I think you could leave the VLOGUST Parmesan out, although I wanted to make it as close to like traditional lasagna as I could, so I added it, and it added like a nice sharp flavor just like Parmesan would. But honestly, you guys, I love this lasagna. Like, I've been eating it all week for lunch, and it has been awesome. So I added some meat sauce to the bottom, and then those Capello almond flour noodles, I put those on top of that, and I had to cut a few of them just to kind of fit them in the baking dish. And then after that, I added some of the cashew ricotta, just spreading that as I would regular ricotta. And then next, I'm going to add some more of the meat sauce. This is kind of the layers that I follow, is like ricotta, meat sauce, and then shredded cheese. So I think if I were to make this again, I would actually add some more sauce. I think that once I heated it up, I wouldn't say the lasagna was dry, but I think if you like it saucy, you wouldn't care for it. So I would definitely add more before, but after I added the sauce, I went ahead and put some mozzarella cheese on. That is, of course, the vegan mozzarella from Aldi. And yes, I know that is not technically paleo because it's processed food, but honestly, right now I am less about labels and more about what I'm eating. I've been eating dairy-free, sugar-free, and gluten-free for the past 2 weeks, and I have lost 7 pounds, and I've never felt better. I feel so much more energetic in the afternoons when I am working. And honestly, it is just, I don't know, it has made me feel so awesome. So let me know if you guys want more videos on that. Otherwise, I am going to continue to make this lasagna. All right, so once I finished doing the layers, I added some of the VLOGUST Parmesan on top, and then I'm going to cover that up and basically bake it like I would a regular lasagna. So just cover it with foil, bake it at 375 for about 30 minutes, and then remove the foil so I can cook it the rest of the way. Here is how it looked once I baked it. It was honestly delicious. You can see how I'm cutting into it here a little bit. I think I feel like I could serve this to anyone who likes lasagna and they wouldn't necessarily feel like it was a dairy-free, gluten-free version. But I would definitely recommend this method and the lasagna noodles as well. All right, so the next dinner that I am making is basically an quote on the fly dinner. So I'm making a chimichurri chicken. So I have some chicken breast that I thawed out from the freezer, and then I have this chimichurri sauce that I got from either, I don't remember where it was from. It's either Green Chef or Hungry, I can't remember which, but either way, I'm going to use it on the chicken. So at first I am having some yellow potatoes. So a tip that I have for you when you're making roasted potatoes is to put them cut side down on the baking sheet. That helps them crisp up and be tender on the inside. So I'm basically taking all of these potatoes and cutting them in half. I'm going to put them on a baking sheet that is lined with parchment paper, drizzle them. You can either drizzle them with avocado oil or olive oil, and then season them with whatever you want. I normally just like to keep it simple with salt and pepper. And then once you season them, just basically toss them around in the oil. And then the key to roasted potatoes is to put them cut side down on the baking sheet. And so that basically helps them to have a crispy exterior and a tender interior. So definitely take the time to put them cut side down and you will not regret it. So I put those into the oven, and next I'm going to work on my broccoli. So I always wash my broccoli in my salad spinner. I'm just cutting the florets off into my salad spinner, and then I will soak that in cold water until all of the dirt is released. I actually watched a video. I watched a video earlier this week that was like, this is the best way to use your salad spinner. Soak your greens in water, then drain them. It's like, that's how I have been using it this whole time. But anyway, I guess I'm ahead of the curve. So I'm going to soak this broccoli and then we'll get back to the meal. All right, so this is just some chicken breast that I took out of the freezer, thawed out, and I'm just seasoning this on each side with salt and pepper. Chicken breast is really bland on its own, so you definitely need to season it thoroughly. I'm also going to put just a little bit of garlic powder on there, and then I will turn it to the other side and do the same thing. If you have chicken that is also wet, go ahead and dry it on paper towels. That will just help it crisp up a little bit better in the skillet, but definitely make sure that you season it generously. So I have a skillet that I've preheated medium-high heat with some avocado oil, and I'm just going to place the chicken breast in there. Just make sure that you don't try to move it until it is fully seared on each side, or you'll end up tearing the meat. You could use this method with any sauce. Like in this video, I'm using chimichurri, but I've done this before with buffalo sauce, with barbecue sauce. You can do marinara sauce, any sauce or dressing that you have in your fridge or pantry, go ahead and use it up. But this was definitely delicious. It gave the chicken a lot of flavor. So you can see here, after I turned it over, I'm going to go ahead and just drizzle maybe about a couple tablespoons of the sauce on one side of the chicken, and the heat from the pan is going to help to kind of, I don't want to say melt that, but just kind of help it cook down a little bit. And since I'm using an oven safe skillet, I'm just going to go ahead and pop it into the oven at about 400 degrees to finish cooking. I'm also steaming up my broccoli here in my Always pan. I get questions about that. Personally, I don't think that the Always pan is worth the money. I personally just use it as a very expensive steamer basket, but I think there are a lot better pans that you can purchase if you're looking for a nonstick pan. Next, I'm going to make some caprese salad because I had all of the ingredients for it. So I just have these tomatoes that I'm going to core, and then I'm going to slice them. On this particular day, I had regular mozzarella cheese. I didn't have like the mozzarella pearls, so I'm going with more of a traditional caprese with the sliced tomato and sliced mozzarella. This was actually the week before I stopped consuming dairy. So yeah, I did eat the caprese salad, but either way, caprese salad is delicious. You guys have seen me make this a million times. I just take the sliced mozzarella and kind of fit that in between the tomato slices. This would have been probably a lot better if I would have had some riper, like farmer's market fresh tomato slices, but I didn't on this particular day. Either way, I'm going to season it with salt and pepper. Sometimes I also season it with red pepper flake. I drizzle a little bit of olive oil over the top, not too much or it will get a little bit soggy. And then you can top it with basil. I also have some chives. Basically any fresh herbs you have along with the basil is really delicious with it. Parsley will work as well, but definitely make sure you include basil because that is what makes the caprese salad. So there's what it looks like when it's completed. And then here is my chicken that finished cooking in the oven. I just again put that Haven's Kitchen chimichurri sauce on it. It turned out really, really good. Then my roasted potatoes and my steamed broccoli. I always make extra of that so I can have it for meals throughout the week. And here is what our dinner looked like. Delicious. Okay, so next I'm going to share with you how these enchiladas turned out. You guys may have seen me start this in my meal prep video, but I have some cooked beef here. I have a couple different cans of enchilada sauce that I got from Thrive. I have the Hatch Organic red enchilada sauce that I'm going to use with the corn tortillas and the beef. And then I'm also going to use some of the Siete almond flour tortillas with the Hatch green chili enchilada sauce. And then I also had this cooked chicken that I got from Hungry Root that ended up being really good and easy to cook with. So I'm going to shred that up, mix it with some of the sauce and make part of the enchiladas with that. And then for my enchiladas, I'm using these VLOGUST dairy-free cheddar shreds. And then for the rest of them, I'm using this Tillamook medium cheddar. So enchiladas are always super easy to prep ahead. And then all you have to do is bake them the night of. So I took some corn tortillas and I wrapped them in wet paper towels. Just do like maybe 6 at a time so that you don't do too many and that way they dry out. But basically you wrap them in wet paper towels, you microwave them for about 30 seconds just until they get soft and pliable. And then I mixed the ground beef with a little bit of that red enchilada sauce, just enough to kind of moisten it. And then you want to put maybe about 3 tablespoons of the filling in each corn tortilla shell. Do not overfill them or they will break open, but then you can just roll them and place them seam down in a dish that has a little bit of enchilada sauce in the bottom, and then you pour the remainder of the enchilada sauce over the top and sprinkle with cheese, and that's it. You can cover this and keep it in the refrigerator for, I would say, up to 3 to 4 days, and then on the night you're going to make it, just pull it out and bake it. So now I'm sharing with you the night that I made this. I did make some guacamole to go on the side. So I have a couple avocados here. These avocados I didn't think were super ripe, but I ended up making them work to make this guacamole because yes, I was determined. I honestly feel like probably avocados that are a little on the underripe side make the best guacamole. I feel like once they get too ripe, they sort of get like a musty taste to them. I don't know, maybe that's just me or maybe that's just the avocados I get here in the Midwest, but either way, I put my avocado in a bowl. I season it with salt and pepper. I put some fresh lime juice in there, and then I like to use a potato masher to mash up my avocado. To me, it works the best, especially if you have a little bit of a harder avocado. It will make the job a lot easier. There are a couple different things that I think make fresh guacamole really delicious. One is diced jalapeno and the other is freshly minced garlic. So I have a jalapeno here. I don't leave the seeds in it because I don't want it to be super spicy. So I just mince up the flesh of that. And then I also really like to add chopped tomato to my guacamole. I know not everyone does that, but I think it makes it good. And then I have some fresh garlic here. I actually find that the garlic that I press myself rather than using the pre-minced kind is a lot better for guacamole. I don't know. I'm weird. I'm just telling you guys what I think works. But then I have a little bit of a red onion that I'm going to finely mince as well and add that to the mix. I have my OXO garlic press here, which works awesome. I would definitely recommend it. I'll link it down below. But I'm adding 2 garlic cloves to that for the 2 avocados. And when I make guacamole, I never measure anything. I kind of just throw it in there until it tastes good. The other thing that you definitely need is cilantro. That is a non-negotiable for me. So I'm going to mince up maybe about a 1/4 cup of that and add it to the mix. And at that point, I just taste it. And at this point, I thought it needed more lime juice, so I added some more. But you can definitely season it to taste, add extra salt, pepper. A lot of times I'll add cumin to it, or sometimes red pepper. I like to take a little chip and taste it as well, just to make sure that the seasoning is good with the chip as well. But that was definitely a delicious side to our enchiladas. So I'm also going to cut up this cantaloupe just to have on the side for fruit for this evening. So I got this at the farmer's market. It ended up being really good. I need to get back there this coming weekend. But this is how I cut up my cantaloupes. If you didn't know, I live in a river town here in the Midwest, and our hometown is actually, I wouldn't say famous, but sort of well known, I guess, for melons, like musk melons and watermelons. And so we can definitely get some of the best watermelons and cantaloupes here in the summer in the Midwest. And I definitely love cantaloupe. I'm trying to get my kids to love it a lot more. Adam likes it too, but I've definitely been buying as many as I can that I know are super sweet and delicious and setting them out. And my kids have been eating them. So win-win, right? So I'm just dicing this up and putting it in a plastic container. We munched on this with our dinner this night, and then whatever was left, I put back in the refrigerator, and I actually ate it for breakfast the next morning. It's really good cold as well. So I'm going to share with you guys what these enchiladas turned out like. This was the pan that I made with the regular beef and corn tortillas and cheese. This was the pan I made with the non-dairy cheddar and the green sauce, and then I made one extra with the almond flour tortilla just because that's what I had left. And then here was the guacamole. So this turned out really, really good. I definitely think the almond flour tortillas worked really well for the enchiladas. I actually liked the red with the beef better than the green with the chicken. But either way, turned out delicious. Would definitely recommend. All right, so this last meal is a really quick but really delicious one. Just a steak with some roasted potatoes and salad. I actually found these clips on my computer. I think they're from several months ago, so I can't exactly remember what recipe I used for this, but I'm going to share it with you anyway because I think it's a great idea for a dinner. So I have some russet potatoes here, and I'm cutting these into fry shapes. What I'm going to end up doing is cooking some sirloin in a pan, making like a mustard cream beef broth pan sauce, and then on the side we'll have the roasted potato fries and some salad. These potatoes actually looked a little bruised, and now that I'm watching these clips back, I'm thinking I remember this. I believe it was a Green Chef meal, but anyway, they turned out delicious. So just going to get these on the pan and then drizzle them with some olive oil. Season them really simply with salt and pepper and a little bit of seasoning that they came with in the Green Chef box. Toss them and then throw them into the oven to roast. Okay, so this salad was a little bit unique because it had these smoked almonds that I chopped up and topped the salad with, which ended up being really delicious. I would definitely recommend that. So I have my greens here, and I'm just putting the chopped almonds on top of that. Next, I'm going to slice up some cherry tomatoes. See, now I'm wondering if this was a Green Chef box or not. I sort of feel like it was, but I feel like I added tomatoes to it. I don't know. I can't be trusted sometimes, you guys, to remember where everything came with. But either way, I'm adding some Parmesan cheese over the top of that salad. And next I'm showing the steaks to you. So these were just some sirloin steaks that I ended up searing up in a pan. I probably only seared them to maybe about medium, maybe medium rare, because I'm going to end up making a pan sauce and then putting them back in the pan to cook the rest of the way. All right, so here is a look at my pan sauce. I wish I had a recipe to share with you guys, but you'll have to just trust me that this was delicious. I put the steaks back in it and brought it back to a simmer and just kind of let that bubble until the steaks were cooked through. And then I served this with the salad. Here is the salad that I topped with Parmesan cheese and some of that vinaigrette along with the smoked almonds. Really, really delicious. Always good to have steak and salad with potatoes on the side. You really can't beat that. Here's a look at the plate: salad with vinaigrette, a steak with pan sauce, and some roasted potato fries. Highly recommend, even though I'm sorry I can't remember the specific recipe. All right, so next up, I'm sharing with you guys a taco night. You guys have seen me do this so often, but I'm sharing it again anyway because we have it all the time. So I have a couple pounds of ground beef that I browned up and drained, and then I put a couple cups of water in there. And I like to use different taco seasonings, but tonight I'm using the Tasty Tacos taco seasoning. I like to use one packet with 2 pounds of ground beef, and then I just simmer it with the seasoning and the water for about 20 minutes over low heat until the beef is really, really tender. On this particular night, I am also going to make some refried beans on the side. So I have some pinto beans here, and 2 cans of those is usually about right for our family, and then I have some left over. So I'm just draining those over a bowl, and I am reserving the liquid in the beans. This pork fat that you can get from Thrive Market is really good in refried beans. I would definitely recommend that. It's a lot more convenient also than bacon grease. So I just melt that in a saucepan, and then I put the 2 cans of pinto beans in there and mash them up either with a potato masher or my mix and chop. And then I do add a little bit of the reserved liquid from the can, maybe about half a cup to a cup, depending on how thick you'd like them. All right, so next I'm going to work on some of my taco toppings. Tacos are also another great thing to fix if not everyone in your family is eating the same way. It's really easy to make, taco salads versus taco bowls versus regular tacos, depending on what everyone is eating. So I'm going to put my diced tomato into a bowl, and then I'm also going to chop up some olives. I don't always include olives, but I had some in the refrigerator, so I decided to include them this time. Next, I'm going to chop up some avocado. This is mostly for me since I'm really the only one that eats it. Connor will eat it sometimes too, but I'm just going to put this into a bowl. I season it with salt and pepper and put a little bit of lime juice over the top just to keep it from turning brown. So here is my meat once it is simmered for a while. It's nice and tender. So that is going to go on our tacos, and I'm going to make a bowl for myself. Here are the refried beans. Just basically season those with salt and pepper to taste. I am toasting up my flour tortillas in a pan, dry pan. That's how I love to do it. And so here are the toppings. We have some lime wedges, olives, some tomatoes, some chopped avocado, cheese, some shredded lettuce, which I think is delicious on tacos, some taco sauce, and some sour cream. Like I said, I had mine in a bowl, but here is Adam's plate. Basically some tacos with some refried beans on the side. Definitely delicious, and of course I recommend. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I know I am behind on some of my Vlogust videos, but my goal is to get caught up before the end of the month. So thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.